Hello and welcome to episode 183 of Controller Club, the friendly face gaming space, a podcast where three friends from three continents share in one love, and that is video games. On today's show, the Game Awards have come and gone. Mega Man is back, and we're going to do a primer for Fallout Season 2 on Amazon Prime Video. But before all that, let's get into who we are a little bit. My name is Kleinfeld. Alongside me today, as always, are my two best friends in the whole wide gaming world. First, coming to us from across the pond, it is the digital art and daredevil himself, Tom Drew. Tom, was that what's his name? The Rizzler chin scratch you did there as we entered in?
I mean, it could be. Am I rizzing the audience up? I hope so. It means this is going to be a good show. I think you're kind of rizzing up the audience, for the YouTube audience at least, because you've got a fly Game Boy Color hat on for the. If you're listening to the show, you can't see it, but I think it's pretty cool, Klein. So yeah.
Yeah, this was my I've had it for a few weeks now. The Instagram shop got me, the algorithm. It was an ad and it kept going by month after month, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then it came and I'm like, this is not 100% what I ordered, but you know it never is when it comes to the Instagram algorithm ads. But it looks pretty good. As you can see, if you are on the YouTube audience, you totally see where our Controller Club logo inspiration comes from.
Very famously from the Game
Yeah,
Boy Color.
but very legally distinct as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, it is journalist extraordinaire, the Australian abroad / the Canadian in training, Lauren Rouse. Lauren, how are you? How are things? We're coming at you from a different angle today. You've packed up your room a little bit, and it is just you with your laptop on the bed in front of you and a chair, and that's all we're getting.
Yes. I'm packing up, preparing to move. I'm going, I have to get ready for my trek to the wasteland, I guess, Australia. I'm returning to the motherland in a few weeks, so I'm just getting everything ready for that, which involves packing up this room and moving things elsewhere. So it's very guerrilla podcasting right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that you are headed back to Australia for the holiday season in a couple of weeks, and Tom will be headed off to see his family as well. I'll bring it up now. I'll bring it up again next week. Next week will be our Game of the Year podcast episode, and then we will be taking a couple of weeks off for the holidays and returning a couple weeks into January. So we won't have any Controller Club for you over Christmas and into the new year, but we will be back in 2026 doing the regular thing again. But we have a couple more episodes to get through before we get to that. Let's jump into this week's episode with our news we choose. The Game Awards came and gone, and there were some headlines coming out of it. So let's get into it. Tom Drew, give us that jingle.
It's the news. Jeff chooses. Yeah.
Yep, Jeff Keighley got back up on stage this past Thursday. We did a full live stream of the 2025 Game Awards, all the awards that were handed out. And if you listened back last week, we did a predictions episode going through category by category, what we thought would win, what we thought would lose. I've actually totaled up all the points, and we did pretty good. Predictions this year, a little bit better than we have in past years. There was only one single category where no one got it right, which is
Oh, wow.
absolutely bonkers to me. I know.
Which
it was
one was
an
that?
ongoing game. We all picked Marvel Rivals, and it
Yeah.
was not Marvel Rivals. It was
Damn.
No Man's Sky. But I will reveal the winners for this year's edition of the Game Awards prediction game. Coming in third place with 11 out of 25 categories was Tom Drew. Tom, I'm sorry. Third place,
Yeah.
bronze medal.
Someone's going to take it. Yeah, it's fine.
In second place with 13 out of 25 categories is me, Kleinfeld, and Lauren Rouse with 15 out of 25 categories.
Wow.
What you did that Tom and I didn't do was you leaned into the Clair Obscure of it all. And
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so you and I both picked quite a few categories together where they were both Clair Obscure and Tom picked something else, but then there was like one or two that you decided to pick Clair Obscure and I didn't, and that is what won it for you. So 15 out of 25, congratulations. That's pretty good. That's like more than half, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Just don't bet against Clair Obscure. I think the one time I did was, we were saying it on the night, but the one time I did was because I wanted to go for Dispatch. And that lost, obviously. So that's my one failure.
And there were a whole lot of awards handed out, and a whole lot of them went to Clair Obscure. It is now the winningest game in Game Awards history, winning 9 awards in a single night, had a total of 12 nominations. Obviously, it couldn't win all 12 because one of those categories it had 3 nominees in. So that is there were a couple things that it lost out on, but it won basically everything it was nominated for. And there are plenty of announcements. So let's get into our favorite announcements of the night with the News We Choose headlines. I think we'll start with you, Tom, because it kicked off the show. It was one of the very first announcements that we saw.
Yeah, and it's one that kind of they were teasing before the event started. Yeah, Tomb Raider's back with 2 games. And I think Lauren wrote this here, Tomb Raider, which is great. We got 2 games as Tomb Raider, so let's go. And this comes from Timmy Palmieri from Amazon Game Studios. And he says, your next adventures await. In collaboration with Amazon Game Studios and Crystal Dynamics, the legacy of Lara Croft continues with 2 new games coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and other platforms too. Join Lara for her biggest adventure yet in Tomb Raider Catalyst (brackets 2027), plus a true reimagining of her debut adventure, Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis (brackets 2026). At the heart of both adventures, Lara Croft, confident, complex, and extremely accurate with 2 pistols, will be voiced by the talented Alex Wilton Regan, replacing Camilla Luddington. Tomb Raider Catalyst is billed as the largest adventure in the franchise to date, featuring a vertically rich platforming playground of seamless wilderness layered with hidden depths of discovery, all taking place in northern India. Lara will explore dense jungles, scale towering mountains, and descend into mysterious ruins using her richly customized adventure tech. Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis celebrates 30th anniversary of Tomb Raider in 2026. We're honoring its origins for new players, while delivering even more of the engaging experiences longtime fans know and love. Explore exotic locations lost to time, from the jungles of Peru to the ancient ruins of Greece, the deserts of Egypt, and a mysterious Mediterranean island shrouded in myth. So yeah, I don't think we were kind of expecting, at least I wasn't expecting, to get 2 Tomb Raider games shown at the showcase. I thought we would maybe even get some Tomb Raider show news, considering that like Prime Video was kind of co-streaming the Game Awards this year, but we didn't get any of that. But we did get these announcements, which was really exciting. But yeah, I'll throw it to you guys. Lauren, I'll go to you first. What did you make of these announcements? Is there one in particular that catches your fancy, or are you excited for both? Take it away.
Yeah, very excited for both of these. Was not expecting there to be obviously 2 of these games. I knew that they were working on one, and that they have, they revealed the new design for Lara a few months ago. Like, this is how she's going to look in this new series going forward, and it looks great. I think, I will be honest, I think I'm actually a little bit more excited right now for the Legacy of Atlantis one, just because we saw more from it, and obviously we know that that's a remake of the original, so we know what to expect. Like the new game does look exciting, but I just don't really have any kind of sense of what the gameplay is going to be like, or like we got a good glimpse at this kind of amazing world that we'll be exploring, but I'm like, is that actually going to happen, or is it just looking cool for the trailer? So that's sort of like on my horizon. But the Legacy of Atlantis one, I'm excited because I did play the original Tomb Raider, but I was like really young and so bad at it that I never really got through it. So to be able to play it now and have it look so good and like have the gameplay and everything updated, I'm quite excited to do that. Like, I want to do all the silly stuff of like playing with dinosaurs and exploring tombs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think Legacy of Atlantis really presented like super well, considering how much gameplay they showed. Yeah, like you mentioned, the dinosaurs. I'm so excited that we're getting dinosaurs again in Tomb Raider. Even how we like the dual pistols, having those back is really exciting as well. I just think it's really cool that like it feels like, we've obviously had the original games, and we kind of had the Survivor kind of trilogy, I guess, where she's kind of fending for herself on these various locales. But it feels like Lara Croft is almost it's almost like Batman, where you can kind of just take her in many different directions. Like, she feels like a very malleable character, and I like that about her, that we can see her in these different forms. And I think it's cool that we now have this kind of game that's harkening back to the original games, and now we have one upcoming that kind of unifies those original games with the kind of more survival kind of trilogy, a reboot trilogy that we had a couple of years ago. But Klein, of these, is there one that catches your interest in particular?
I think they're both very exciting. I don't have a ton of history with the Tomb Raider franchise. I jumped on with the reboot on PS4 and loved it. Absolutely adored it. And then Rise of the Tomb Raider, the second one, that was like Xbox exclusive for a year and then came to PS4 a year later. that was one of my favorite games of that generation. I really, really, really enjoyed what they did with it. It's kind of a I love the Uncharted games, which are ultimately like very influenced by the Tomb Raider franchise, and then the Uncharted games influenced the new Tomb Raider. And so I think it'll be cool to be able to go back with Legacy of Atlanta specifically and see kind of what this was all about with modern graphics. Hopefully they do update the gameplay because I have heard that those games are quite stiff and quite hard to play nowadays. And that really excites me because this is a corner of kind of my gaming world, my gaming knowledge that I don't necessarily have a ton of depth in. And so I'm looking forward to trying Legacy of Atlanta, seeing what this original adventure was all about. And then Catalyst, I want more of games like this. I love a rip rollicking adventure. I love a Indiana Jones treasure hunt style thing. And so if you can deliver that to me in the form of another new reinvention of this franchise and Catalyst, that's exciting to me. And the biggest ever is what they said. So that's very cool. And yeah, 2 games is I guess better than one. And it's a nice kind of cadence. We're gonna get the remake and then we'll get the new one the year after in 27.
Yeah, I think like with Legacy of Atlantis, like I going on back to the controls, like yeah, obviously the original games used those tank controls, which were kind of unwieldy, like going back to, but now this is updating that a lot, more so. But I don't know, I'm not familiar with those original games as much, but it's cool to see like how Lara uses like a grappling hook in certain instances, or like there's moments where she's like shooting a dinosaur and it goes into slow motion. But then we get teasers of that in the Catalyst trailer where she also has the grappling hook there. So it'll be interesting to see how much of the kind of gameplay styles influence one another, and how they're kind of approaching this. So yeah, I just think it's a cool approach. It's kind of like a bold move to just be like, yeah, we're releasing 2 games back to back. I kind of respect that because a lot of games show up at these sorts of things, and it's like we don't like they're more in the ether. Like we don't really know when they're coming, if they're going to happen, or whatever. So it's cool to just have these known. I know they're coming. I think it's really exciting.
We'll
I
see.
mean, to be fair, like the last Tomb Raider game came out in like 2018, so it's been a little while between
Yeah,
adventures, and so I guess this is like the product of all that labor that they've been putting in behind the scenes, and now we get 2 so close together.
yeah,
So yeah, it's about time.
And this is they've been through a lot, the Tomb Raider franchise, since that last game. Like this is the first one under new ownership. I'm
Mm.
forgetting who exactly owns them now, but it isn't WB putting out these games, or Square Enix I think was putting out these games with the
yeah.
last trilogy. It's not them
Yeah,
anymore.
didn't they get
Crystal
bought
Dynamics
by?
I don't think is
Wasn't
involved,
Embracer
or
Group?
are they?
Yeah, I think it
Yes,
was.
it's Embracer.
Yeah,
So this is and Amazon, yeah, there we go. That's who's doing it. And Crystal
yeah.
Dynamics is still on the team. But this is a
Mhm.
very, very reinvented like version of the studio, what the like corporate umbrella looks like above them. And so it has taken some time to kind of adjust to that. And I think for the last couple of years at every one of these showcases, there has been whispers of, will we see a Tomb Raider? Is it time to see a Tomb Raider? And now, obviously, I guess it is time. Next year, we're going to get a remake, and the year after, we'll get some full-fledged sequel.
Mhm. I mean, who knows when the show's coming out, but it's nice to have, sort of a synergy where it's like, okay, the show's going to come out and you'll probably have like a relatively new game that you can then jump on, or vice versa. Like you play the game and it's like, oh, there's a show that's relatively coming out soon. And like, there's a show we're talking about soon, Fallout. Like, it would be nice to have gotten like like a New Vegas remaster or something like that to coincide it. I
Yes.
mean, maybe that could come like I don't know, maybe it'll come sometime next year if that's possible. But like, it's nice to have that synergy at least for this one.
Mhm. It is interesting that for the news stories that we all picked, the biggest announcements of the night, all 3 of them are kind of in their own way a return of some classic gaming thing.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
we aren't
Yeah,
talking about any of the
Yeah.
newly announced games. There was that new multiplayer game from former Respawn Entertainment people who are making something. But yeah, we've all picked returns. So we'll go to me with the next one, and then we'll end with you, Lauren. Mega Man is back. We're getting another Mega Man game. This is coming from Michael Kripe at IGN. As revealed at the Game Awards 2025, Capcom is bringing the Blue Bomber back in a new video game called Mega Man Dual Override. The first trailer for what will be the first new Mega Man game since 2018's Mega Man 11 reveals the return to that classic 2D style that made the iconic hero famous. It's unclear what other elements will return for Mega Man Dual Override, with the footage mostly promising vibrant visuals and a promise to warp onto PC, Nintendo Switch, Switch 2, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Xbox consoles in 2027. Quote, Mega Man returns in 2027 with a brand new entry in the classic action platforming series, end quote, a description from Capcom says. Quote, override challenges and blast down legions of robots while springboarding across a new array of futuristic frontiers, end quote. With its release date as much as 2 years away, it shouldn't come as a surprise to hear that we know little else about Mega Man Dual Override at the moment. However, Capcom is giving diehard fans, Tom, I'm looking at you for this one, diehard fans the chance to learn more about what some are already calling Mega Man 12 with the introduction of the Robot Master Design Contest. The contest, which calls on fans to submit unique robot designs, will result in 6 winners, including one grand prize winner whose design will be turned into an enemy for Mega Man to fight in the game. Those interested can check out the Mega Man Dual Override website for more information. So, Tom, you got to get drafting. You need to create one of these Mega Man Robot Master bosses, and you got to make Controller Club famous through this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take up the challenge.
No pressure.
I would say, like, I mean, there's probably rules around, like, copyright, like, you can't do specific designs. I'd love to do a Freddy Fazbear Robot Master, but I don't think that would get past
Well, now,
Capcom.
don't give away all your good ideas.
I mean, that's true. You know, maybe I should stop talking. But it is cool that they're bringing that back for this. Like, it's kind of a bold thing for them to do. I'm sure it's going to inform a lot of like what that particular like level will like take, I guess. Which is cool. But it's cool that Mega Man's back. Like, I didn't expect him to come back. I love Mega Man, but I'm terrible at it. It's like those original games are so hard on the NES. But so it's cool that he's coming in 2027. It's awesome.
I think I'm pretty confident in saying, as the resident Mega Man fan here on Controller Club, I was honestly a little let down by this announcement. I think it is more exciting that the announcement happened, that Mega Man is actually back, than the game he's coming back in. When they did the whole big lead up and he's like, this is a grand return of a franchise and blah, 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 as Jeff Keighley is known to do. And then we get the orchestra playing the music and we clue in, oh my gosh, it's Dr. Wily's castle. And looking back at that trailer, you can see all the game dates on the side of the hallway and you get to the door and it opens and it's Mega Man. I thought, oh, like, this is it. Like, we are getting the next generation Mega Man. For a long time, people have been asking, like, okay, like, we can do these 2D side scrollers. We can do them well. Mega Man 11 kind of had this similar 3D art style. We've had pixel art before that, but people have been wanting more. People have been wanting, like, what is the next generation of this franchise? And I know a lot of, like, a popular opinion amongst Mega Man fans is, could we do something in 3D? Could we do like almost like a Ratchet and Clank style game with these characters and with this world? And so when they announced this trailer for the first time, I'm sitting there going, this is it. This is the one. They're going to do it. And then they show the gameplay and it's like, oh, we're just going back to it. This is just another 2D Mega Man. And that, to me, I'm excited. Love those games. I'm looking forward to giving this one a try, but it isn't like the grand return I thought he would get when he did eventually come back. Because after 11 games and various X games, and we've gotten a lot of 2D side-scrolling Mega Man, I thought they for sure would have to do something new and unique with this next one. And it doesn't, at least from this first glance, look like they're doing that.
So just to confirm, there have been other Mega Man games recently, or when was the last one?
2018 was Mega Man 11. And so there was a big gap between, I think it was between 8 and 9. And then we got 9, 10, 11 from like the Wii until 2018. And then
right,
there has been no lack of Mega Man in the conversation, simply because Capcom has re-released everything in the last like 15 years. There's been collections of the classic games. There's been collections of the X spin-offs. There's been collections of the Battle Network games. There's been multiple collections put out. And so if you want to play Mega Man, there's no lack of places to do it. This is just like the grand return of a mainline game, in the same way that like Catalyst for Tomb Raider, they're his first game since 2018.
Right, because I kind of am sort of likening this to, Crash Bandicoot's return, which similarly had the original 3 trilogy, and then got sort of like other developers tried different things with it. It expanded in different ways. Some people liked, some people didn't. And then when Toys for Bob came and did Crash 4, I mean, personally, as someone who is super invested in that franchise, I'm like, this is great. This is exactly what I want because it's the same, but it's just a little bit updated with like nicer graphics. But the spirit was still there, and that's kind of, as someone who has no investment in Mega Man, is what I'm seeing this as. Is that sort of still something that people want?
Not really. Like I think
That's
a lot of
interesting.
the thing about Mega Man fans is they will play this game. They are very excited to get a new cast of robot masters and go through these levels because Mega Man is ultimately awesome at its core. The 2D action is so much fun. That difficulty is so much fun. The bosses and the character designs, the world is amazing. But there is a part of just about every Mega Man fan that I've come into contact with, part of their heart that is like, can't this franchise elevate in any way? Can this franchise, like, what does the next evolution of this look like? And it doesn't look like, at least from what we've seen, this game is going to be that.
Well, I do wonder if there is. I mean, this is a teaser
They
trailer,
could
so
be
like,
hiding something. Like
yeah, because at the
they
end of
could
the
be hiding.
trailer, like Mega Man's body sort of like opens up and is like, I don't know, just like some weird things. So that could be a tease of like some like new mechanic. Maybe this is their like Mario Wonder moment where they like introduce something like that does shake up the formula. But I get what you're saying though. Like of the gameplay that it did show, it does just kind of look like, oh yeah, it's Mega Man. Like the cell shaded art style's
He has a
cool,
slightly
but
new design, which is like
yeah,
cool. Like I'm excited to see that design in action because it is very cool. Like, they're finally like kind of leaning into like the anime ness of the original drawings and stuff like that. But
yeah.
other than that, yeah, it is kind of just like the hopping and bopping of the traditional Mega Man experience.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some battle damage on him. I don't know if that's been a thing in the
No, definitely
past
not.
games. So that's interesting, I guess. But yeah. Maybe they'll show some more stuff in between now and 2027.
It kind of feels like, I don't know, it's like we're in a weird spot where like these original sort of franchises that everyone knows and loves are having a big return. Like we just said, we've all picked stories about these games that are coming back. But it kind of feels like, because it's been so long, they're trying to just recapture what people loved about it because they're too scared to do anything new, right? Because then that might not do as well, or people might not appreciate that. And then that gamble has not paid off. And it's really hard. You can't gamble anymore in this industry because you just get shut down. So I think it's probably like, maybe this will do well, and hopefully that will be encouraging. And then maybe the next version is the one where they go, let's branch out a little bit. People clearly still like this franchise, but right now it does feel like everybody is in like a risk averse mode, and they're just trying to capture what made the games great originally because that seems to be what people will pay for.
What's notable though is that it is Capcom, and Capcom, like, look what they're doing with Onimusha right now. They're bringing that back and giving it this whole new kind of modern feel, and they've done it many times with the Resident Evil games where they reinvent what that franchise is over and over again, whether it be making it more action heavy or making it like first person and this more like very, very terrifying modern horror thing. And so I
But
don't know.
Resident Evil's
I've
been going for years. There was
I
never a
know.
huge gap.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. 2027. That's another thing, is seeing the game. I'm like, do we need to see this early if this is what the game is going to be? If it is just going to be a 2D side
Mm,
scroller and then you put a 2027 date on it and like a PS4 logo on there, I'm like,
that's true.
come
PS4.
on. Like, really? Really? But
I mean,
I'm
if you
excited.
want to talk about games that were shown too early, we should talk about my story.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it. Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic. Lauren, you got it.
Yeah. So this was I think the very first big world premiere of the show on Thursday. And I took the story from Jordan Remy at GameSpot. So, announced via a cinematic trailer during the Game Awards 2025, Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic is an upcoming single player RPG. We know next to nothing about the game, save for the time period it's taking place in, the same as the original Knights of the Old Republic games, but it certainly looks cool. Fate is being developed by Archanaut Studios, with the game being helmed by Casey Hudson, yes, the same guy who was the game director of the first Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and then later the first 3 Mass Effect games. The game is being described as a spiritual successor to the original KOTOR games, but it's unclear if that means it will reboot part of the story or simply be the sequel we never got. Only time will tell. Quote, working on Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was one of the defining experiences of my career. With Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, we're telling a completely new and different story with everything we've learned since, crafting an adventure about choice, destiny, and the timeless struggle between light and dark. It's a dream come true to once again collaborate with Lucasfilm Games. And that was from Casey Hudson in a press release. So, This was a hell of a way to start the show. We as Star Wars fans are all very excited. But I want to litmus test you guys on this. Are we excited for this? But more importantly, like there's been a lot of talk about the release date this week. Some, like Jason Schreier said, we're not seeing it before 2030. Casey Hudson then came out and said, hey, it's not going to be that long. Like, I'm getting old. So yeah, how are we feeling? Is like, when are we expecting this? What do we think it's going to be? Klein, I know you are a big fan of those Knights of the Old Republic games. How are you feeling about this?
I'm very excited that the Old Republic is back. And, even if this is a 2030 game, I'm excited that we've seen it. I think that the industry is better off when we have not too many, but like one or two, what I would call unicorn games. These games that are just like they were announced and years go by and it's like, where is it? Oh, is this going to be? Are we going to finally see The Last Guardian again? Is it going to come back? And then it finally does. And it's like, oh, here it is. And it's coming out this year. I think that's very exciting. I'm excited that Casey Hudson is back working in the Star Wars franchise. I love the Mass Effect games. The Knights of the Old Republic games have actually eluded me. I haven't played either the
Oh,
first or the second, but I do really enjoy BioWare games. I love Dragon Age. I love Mass Effect, and I love Star Wars. So this to me sounds like a match made in heaven. What's even cooler is it's being developed here in Kelowna partially, which is like really, really neat. I did some LinkedIn creeping and found the exact people that are based here, and I'm gonna start knocking on some doors.
oh
Do
my
it.
god.
Do it.
But I'm very excited. I do think we see this, and they say the studio was founded this past July. If you go on their website, there's a lot of jobs open and a lot of lead jobs, like a lot of department lead jobs. So this is still very early. This is still probably, I would say, 4 years away. But I'm going to say it is 4 years away. Like, I don't think it is a 2030 game. I think that this is probably like late 2028 or 2029. And we'll have it by then. I think this will ultimately come out in some form on the PlayStation 5. Whether the PS6 is here by then, who knows? That is another conversation to have. But I think that we will see this in the next 4, maybe like 3.5, but I think 4 years is probably a better bet.
What about you, Tom? Have you played the Knights of the Republic games?
No, I've
Oh,
kind of like armchair watched like someone else play the Knights of the Old Republic games. But yeah, I've not had like too much experience other than those like really cool cinematic trailers that they released for them for this one and the Old Republic, I guess, like the MMO. But it's cool that they're returning to this era. I'm definitely excited. I do agree with Klein in that like I think this will probably coalesce in like probably by 2029. I think that's probably a safe bet. um I definitely have more like faith in it than like other Star Wars games, but that's the only thing is like we have had other Star Wars games get announced and then just hear nothing about them, like Eclipse, the
I was going
Knights
to
of the Old
ask,
Republic
do the
remake.
two of you think this comes before Star Wars Eclipse? Because I honestly think it does.
I think it does too. Yeah.
well, this is my two concerns about this announcement. Like, I am also, like you guys, quite excited. Like, I love a good Star Wars game. I'm excited to experience this franchise in this new way. But we had the Knights of the Old Republic remake that they were doing for a while
Mm,
there, which fell over.
Still in the works as of this last week
supposedly.
Okay,
with a new developer.
It could be a
yeah.
thing where it's like the Tomb Raider remake and then the, Tomb Raider remake, then Tomb Raider sequel, Knights of the Old Republic remake, New
That
Old Republic
KOTOR
game.
remake though has been so troubled. Like that team is
That's
Yeah,
the
like
thing.
they fell apart. It's been put over to someone else. It's now over at a third team. I
yeah,
I have no confidence in that at all in that
yeah.
game whatsoever.
That's the thing. So that does trouble me a little bit. Just in terms of Star Wars games in general. And then, like you say, Eclipse is like we kind of was revealed in a very similar way to this. I think at the Game Awards a few years back, and it's
Yeah.
sort of been like, and now we've heard nothing since. So I'm just sort of like I'm expecting this to kind of be that, and like there's part of me that's like, Eclipse is not happening. Like, why? I mean, this is it's not like this doesn't happen where games just go away and we don't hear anything about it. Hollow Knight, but I don't know. I just have like really shaky confidence with Star Wars games in general, unless it's something like Fallen Order, which does seem to have a good thing going. I don't know. They just seem to have this kind of curse about them where they're always either super delayed or people don't like them when they eventually come out or they have issues. So I'm hoping this will break that curse, but I'm also just like, I'm putting my expectations low so that they can be exceeded in case this doesn't actually end up
Well,
amounting to anything.
it's like the rest of the slate, though, right? Like a bunch of their movies, like
Oh
they
yeah.
have just fallen by the wayside. So
Exactly.
it does almost feel like it's more of a Star Wars thing than a general kind of gaming thing. Because yeah, I don't know, they seem to announce stuff, everyone gets excited, and then it just doesn't coalesce. Which is a frustrating cycle. I'd rather it just be like I said, Klein, it is nice to have those like unicorn games. Like Cyberpunk for the longest time was one of those unicorn games, and like that came out and like people eventually loved it. But yeah, like so it's nice to have something to like look forward to and like, oh, is this gonna show up here? Is it gonna show up here? But I almost do wish in like Star Wars' case that they did hold off a little bit until things were a more surefire thing. But I do have faith in this more so than the others. But it's always with a question mark, for sure.
I do think it lessens the blow that we got another Star Wars game announced at the same event and it's coming next year. Like it had a date on it, which is
That's true. Yeah.
great with the intergalactic racers, the racing game. So I think that like had we not gotten anything else Star Wars wise, some more questions might have been asked, but they did. I don't know if it was part of the plan. They did a great job of like, hey, we have this, and then however long later in the show, here's another Star Wars game, and it's coming out in the next 12 months, and that is exciting, and it's the return of another like beloved quote unquote franchise. Because same with this, like this isn't in the Knights of the Old Republic canon, but it is like people are considering it Knights of the Old Republic 3 and Intergalactic Racer, same thing. It's like it isn't a sequel to Star Wars Pod Racer from Episode 1, but it very much feels like they are harkening back to that.
And the other thing is, we just have no idea. It's obviously way too early, but we just have no idea what this is going to be. Like, we can make some guesses based on previous KOTOR games, but I want to know how this is different to Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. Like, if it's just going to be, I mean, I love those games, so if it is just going to be the same, I probably would be kind of fine with it. But I want to see something different as well, like not just the time period. Like, what are they going to do with this one that really sets it apart from other Star Wars games? And because again, we have no idea what Eclipse is. Like, who knows what that game is? So it's just sort of like, it's easy to kind of like be excited about these things, but we also have no idea what they're going to be.
I have a feeling this will be it will feel very BioWare in that it's like, yes, you are a Jedi, just like Cal, but you are like, this is the Jedi fantasy RPG. This is I want to make the choice that dooms the galaxy, or I'm gonna romance this person, and it's much more about you, instead of you playing through a specific Star Wars story, you kind of crafting your own Star Wars story.
Yeah, maybe Sabol will be in it too. Like he's in the pod racing game.
I'm
Maybe
so
he's
excited
be...
about that.
He dates back. He predates time.
Yeah, he's eternal.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you guys want to shout out from the Game Awards? Overall, I think it was a pretty good show. It's hard to top last year because last year, I mean, they unveil a new Naughty Dog game. They have Elden Ring multiplayer. They have Okami 2. Like last year was pretty incredible. I think this year was still like I'd give it a B probably. I think that watching the award side of it this year was maybe a bit more engaging than last year. Actually seeing the Claire Obscura wave happen in real time, and each one of those speeches got progressively better and better in my mind. I really liked that group getting the flowers that the game industry thinks they deserve. And so that was a lot of fun. But what'd you guys think? And do you have anything else you want to shout out?
Yeah, I think for me, I probably agree in terms of like last year. I think they found like the game announcements were like pretty like spectacular, and I think they found a better balance between the actual awards and the announcements. It did feel as though, at least to me, like the announcements, even though they weren't as exciting, but they kind of overtook like a lot of what was happening. Like it just did feel like a bombardment at certain points where it's like announcement after announcement after announcement, which is cool. but also like it is the Game Awards, so it would be nice to see a bit more, respect
Yeah,
put towards that.
I think there was some I can see, like, because one of the big issues that I had about this year's show is the Jeff Keighley segments where he just stands there and hands out a bunch of awards
Yeah,
to
But he
no one
always
in
does
some
that.
cases. Yeah, and I think that it was maybe a little bit more this year, and I don't know if this is true or not, but, like, I think there were some people who weren't in the audience,
mhm,
and because it was such an assumed, like Team Cherry wasn't there. And one of the reasons that has been thrown out there is, were people not wanting to go to the show knowing that Claire Obscure was going to win, and then when they end up getting awards, we can fly through them because those people got an award, but no one's there to accept it, so we can just fly
Mm.
through it and that sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
I think that there might be some meat on the bone there, and then maybe next year's show it looks a little different depending on who's in. Like, they know who's going to win in advance because that's how voting works, and they have to craft the show around that. So maybe that pacing kind of changes, but it was a little jarring for us to come out of a trailer and have Jeff standing there and go, here are 6 awards, and the winner of this one is this and that and that and that, and no one really gets to get up and say anything.
I think, yeah, this is like a common problem with the Game Awards is like, what is the identity of this show really? Is it a trailer fest? Is it actually an awards show? Like, it's obviously not something like the Oscars, although that's its own
Or even
thing.
like the Dice Awards, which is very much like, hey,
Yeah.
if you want an award show that is just the video game awards, and you want to see all the speeches and you want to see the developers get up and talk, that exists, and it's called Dice, and it happens in February, March every year, and they do that. And it is a very long
Yeah.
show, but there are no trailers or anything like that.
mhm,
But I think, yeah, I think what the Game Awards tries to have that popular appeal. So it's like we've got to have big things to make people tune in. And now they're on Prime Video, and they have all these actors showing up, like the
yeah,
entire cast of Street Fighter. Like, those things are very much like we want the eyeballs. And I think I think what I would prefer is show more of the awards, and then only have really big reveals. Because the thing is, like, he'll do these announcements of like, here's the next big thing from this studio, world premiere, whatever. And then there's probably like 5 trailers after that for other things that don't get introed or are things we've already seen or whatever, or ad breaks and things like that. So I'm a little bit like, I would prefer that the announcements he are really curated, and then maybe you do have, he sometimes brings out the developers or the talent to talk about it a little bit. Like, that's kind of cool. But I don't think we need it to be this onslaught of trailers with like 25% of awards.
yeah. Because realistically, like I remember like maybe 5-10% of the stuff that did get announced, and I have to look it up. Like, oh yeah, this thing got announced, and this thing got
The
announced.
Yes.
Badger game.
The Badger game. Oh
That
yeah,
was in the
we thought it was
pre-show,
like yeah, or even like Pragmata getting a Switch 2 release, like that was in the pre-show.
Mhm.
Like that seems like a decent announcement. Like it just
Soros
got
getting
completely
subtly
overshadowed.
delayed 2 weeks without ever like acknowledging that it had been delayed 2 weeks.
Yeah,
That
it's
release
just
date they showed
weird.
at the end of that trailer is 2 weeks later than we knew about, and it was there.
I didn't even know that, but yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, do we want to talk? The one that I want to bring up is the Street Fighter trailer. It's our first look at the movie adaptation of Street Fighter. Like you said, Lauren, all the cast members came out on stage, which is kind of crazy. We only got a little bit of like glimpses of footage. It was like basically just aura shots, I guess, and people kicking each other about. Um, on the live stream, I definitely was a bit like, "Oh, I don't know about this." I think I've warmed up to it a little bit. It does kind of capture that goofy essence that the games do. I'm a little here and there about some of the costumes. I think they look a little cheap, some of them, but only I do. I saw the other side of that argument of that, like that might be because it's just easier to do these stunts in like those materials. So I can kind of get over that a little bit. But Klein, I'll go to you. Like, what did you take away from the trailer? Because you were pretty excited when we were watching it.
It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. I've been saying forever that this is going to be a really, really a super high budget fan film, almost like this like really goofy weird thing that you might find on YouTube. Like, it honestly reminds me a little bit of like the Adi Shankar Power Rangers
Oh
like
yeah,
skit, where it is
sure.
like, oh, we're getting like a real fan to share their vision of what this franchise can look like. And I think it looks like a lot of fun. Is it going to win Best Picture? No. Like, is it gonna
Definitely
even
not.
be like an amazing movie? Probably not. I think it's gonna be a fun time though. Like, I think I'm gonna have
Yeah.
more fun with this than I would with like the Mortal Kombat movie. Like, this is just like super goofy. They're hamming it up. I think the cast, for the most part, look crazy. Like, look really good. Even like Jason Momoa's Blanca, I think,
Yeah,
is
Blanca looks
one of the
great.
highlights for me. Like, I don't know if that's like what that is. It CG? Is it a mix of prosthetic and CG? I don't really know. Noah Centineo looks absolutely insane. So I'm excited, and I'm really looking forward to seeing like what a first length, like full length trailer for this will look like.
Yeah, because I want to see what the setup is. I'm assuming it's probably just going to be more of a tournament thing, which the Mortal Kombat movie didn't really do. I know they're doing that more so in the sequel. But yeah, I am cautiously excited for it. I think it will be a fun time in general. But Lauren, did this make an impression, or is there anything you want to just shout out?
I will be seeing this so that I know what you guys are talking about. But other than that,
Cool.
I have no interest.
Nice.
But yeah, other things from the show, I have two main things. One, I think we need to close the loop, which is we know what the statue in the desert is now. It was for, as leaked, Larian's new Divinity game, which, it was a cinematic. It was quite a gross cinematic, but I don't know. I'm kind of curious. And it was a good marketing tactic to get me intrigued. Also, so we did get a couple of release dates. I'm excited. Like that Pragmata showing in the pre show, I was like kind of blown away by. I'm like, this
Yeah.
looks really awesome. Like seeing the Times Square thing that they had been talking about at PAX. That looks really cool. Also, Lego Batman's coming out May 29. Very exciting. Like we said on the show, there's really nothing they can do at this point to make us more excited. Like we're all signed up. But then the other thing was Control Resonant. So they had this really cool announcement for Remedy's new Control game, which it seems is following a new protagonist. I haven't played Control or Max Payne, but this has me interested as long as it's not too scary because the Max Payne and not Max Payne, Alan Wake and Control games kind of verge on being a little spooky. So I'm just like I'm watching with interest. But I mean, Tom, you've played Control, right? Like you must be
Yeah.
excited about this.
Yeah, I really liked Control, and this is really exciting because this takes is a new protagonist, Jesse Faden's brother, who's also briefly kind of in the first game. So it's cool to see him kind of more explored in this one. But yeah, it just seems like it's a lot more expansive in terms of like the visuals because the first game is very much you're isolated in this one location, the oldest house, and seems like it's opening up to like I guess Manhattan. So like it's just this trippy version of New York and seeing all of that and the different powers that seem to be at your disposal in this one. Like Dylan has a giant hammer, which is really sick to see. So yeah, I'm hyped for this. Like I really want to play Alan Wake 2. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of like crossovers between because that kind of universe exists within its own kind of space. So yeah, I'm hyped. I think this is really cool, and it's cool that they've turned it around so quickly. Like I'm surprised that Remedy's able
Comes
to
out
do this.
next year.
Yeah, wild. That's crazy.
Client, do you have any interest in it?
Oh, for sure. I loved the first Control. I think that is like art design wise is one of the coolest games I've ever played. What's the gun called? The utility tool?
Oh,
I forget,
yes.
but the shape-shifting gun is such a cool thing, and I found it like the reason I haven't touched an Alan Wake game is because those do look genuinely scary. I don't think Control gets scary ever as much as it's
Yeah.
eerie. Like it feels it's like X-Files versus like an actual like horror movie. It's like there are like weird phenomena happening, but it's never like genuinely spine chilling, I guess. And this looks exciting. I think that the Remedy team just like vibes curation wise do an insane job. Like this trailer, I've gone back and watched it more than I think anything else from the Game Awards so far, just because it's just like vibe central with all the amazing New York imagery that they have in there and the music playing and yeah, the shape-shifting hammer sword weapon. This looks to be way more action focused as opposed to like aiming and like point and shoot like it was in Control. And so
Mhm.
I'm really excited to see that. What new powers do we have? Because that was another big part about Control. It was this like kind of Metroidvania-esque thing where it's like, oh, now I can like jump around and fly, and now I can force push and do all these really cool kind of like psychic abilities. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm interested that it isn't Control 2, that it like, is this, are they seeing it as Control 2, or is it like its own? Is it a spin-off? Is it a smaller thing? It has only been 2 years since Alan Wake. So is this like something they're going to do in the meantime until they can get a Control 2 out in the world? I don't know, but I'm interested to learn more.
The last thing that I will talk about is that we did Game Awards bingo this year, and we've done pretty well, but we did not get a bingo, sadly, because there was no Marvel Tokon Fighter, and there was no One More Thing. So thanks, Jeff. Otherwise,
Next year.
actually, we did all right. Yeah.
At least we know now. We learned.
Yeah.
We can better use that free space right in the middle. But yeah, the Game Awards, if you want to check out our full reactions, the stream is up in full over on YouTube, and I'm sure in the next couple of weeks, perhaps maybe even months, we'll be pulling clips and putting up on socials. But let's get out of here. Tom, Drew, can we get that news outro?
It's the news Jeff chooses. Yeah.
Yep. And we head to the very much intact, well, somewhat intact present day western coast of the United States and head far into the future. Lauren, I guess not that far into the future, alternate future. Lauren, you're going to take us through a Fallout Season 2 primer. If you did not know, Fallout starts this coming week on Amazon Prime Video, so we thought we'd get you set up. Lauren, take it away.
Yeah. We are going to be covering Fallout Season 2 on the podcast with some reviews and hopefully some guests. So kind of like we did I think we did this for The Last of Us, just going to do a recap of Season 1. But just broadly, if you're not aware, Fallout is an adaptation of Bethesda's popular post-apocalyptic RPG game series, and the series is set years after the timeline of the games in California in 2296. That's how you say it, which is 219 years after the bombs dropped. It tells an original story in the Fallout world, and the series was created by Geneva Robertson Dworet and Graham Wagner, with Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy producing, and Ella Purnell, Alden Goggins, Aaron Moten, and Kyle MacLachlan starring. So Season 1 came out in April 2024. It received 3 Emmy nominations, won Best Adaptation at the Game Awards in 2024. It has a 93% approval rate on Rotten Tomatoes. So safe to say it did pretty well. We recapped and reviewed this show when it came out. It all came out at once back in April 2024, and we did a review on the podcast. So you can go back and check that out if you want to hear our immediate thoughts. But just having had time to reflect and now heading into Season 2, what were our general reactions on Fallout Season 1? We kind of teed it up a little bit in our hype ranking of upcoming video game adaptations. We all ranked this S, so you can kind of get a sense of where we're going with this. But I just want to know what you guys really liked about Fallout. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, this one was definitely, like, video game adaptation wise, like, it grew on me the more I watched it. I was definitely like overwhelmed with Season 1 initially because they did drop all the episodes at once, so I was trying to like rapidly keep up, which meant that I wasn't taking everything in maybe as like well as I should have, and I think like but as I kept going through this show, I don't know, like I think the way they kind of interplay these different storylines is so impressive. It's such a hard balance in a lot of TV shows where like you'll have subplots and like sometimes it'll be like, okay, this subplot is really interesting to me, but like these other ones I could take or leave. But I think they found a really good way in with having like these 3 kind of distinct or 3, but even more so maybe than that, storylines running through the show that are all equally engaging and exploring the world in like completely different ways. So yeah, I mean, I think the cast is great. And it's going to be exciting to see them again and just see like how some of these storylines from the first season like get picked up again. So yeah, I think Season 1 was a triumph really, and Season 2 hopefully should be the same.
What about you, Klein?
I think that Season 1 was a nice surprise. I don't know if any of us had in our bingo card that it would be as good as it was. I think that just the creative team behind it coming in, there were definitely some expectations. I love Westworld, so anything Jonathan Nolan attaches his name to is like very exciting to me. But coming off of Season 1, I thought that it was such a unique way to take a video game adaptation that we hadn't necessarily seen. I guess we kind of got it at that point in the first season of Arcane, but that was almost different because the League of Legends lore is so like you have to go looking for it. You have to really, really dig into it. Whereas this was telling an original story set within the canon of the games well after the events of the games. And I think that it kind of set a new foundation from which other video game adaptations can take and run with. You don't just have to do the, oh, we are telling our own original story outside of the canon, or we are adapting blank blank game to the beat. Those are all options. Those are all things you can do. But this kind of opened up a new avenue. And I thought the casting was amazing. I think, as you said, Tom, the way that they did the very Westworld thing, where it's a lot of these kind of disparate elements that all come together in this gripping kind of last, I would say, 2 episodes, this really, really great finale. And so I really enjoyed it and was quite impressed by it, and came out of it thinking, man, like, am I a bigger Fallout fan than I thought I was? Because I am much more the Elder Scrolls person when it comes to Bethesda games, but this world and these characters and just the story they told was so much fun and so engaging, and I'm excited to see where they go next.
Yeah, for sure. Very similar to you guys. I sound like a broken record on the podcast, but as always, I was not like a huge fan of the Fallout games just because of like the gameplay restrictions didn't really vibe with me. But I had a feeling that like, you know, the story and the world was still so interesting, and Fallout, the TV show, really managed to capture that and make it so much more accessible. Like that is really evident of why we should do these things, and adapt these games, is so people who can't play the games like me can experience it. And they just like, it was all cylinders firing. I remember doing press for Fallout Season 1 kind of before anyone knew what it was going to be like. To this day, probably one of my favorite press junkets I've ever done. Like, it was just the talent behind it is so good. Everyone really is so invested in this story and they really care for it. I think all of the actors are really, really great in their roles, and I just love how it all came together. I love that they were bold enough to do something on their own, and that they really also, like, I think tone is so important in this series, and they really captured that kind of like dark satirical tone, comedic tone rather, and the sort of brutal action, and the political commentary. And so I think like it was, like you say, Tom, like quite a triumphant adaptation. But let's just do a quick recap of the plot. I've been like the last 2 weeks I've rewatched Season 1 to sort of get ready for this, so it's very fresh in my mind. But we'll do like some of the main storylines and then we'll get into the ending. But basically, season 1 follows, I think, probably like 4 main storylines. We have Lucy, who is a vault dweller played by Ella Pennell, who has her dad, Hank McLean, who is played by Kyle MacLachlan, kidnapped by this woman named Moldava, and she goes out into the wasteland from the vault to go find him. She meets a guy from the Enclave. His name is Wilzig, and basically he has something very valuable, but he gets injured. She has to cut off his head and carry it through the wasteland, and everybody wants the head. That's basically the whole story. Competing for the head, we have the Ghoul, who is played by Walton Goggins. So ghouls are a big sort of faction that you'll encounter in the games. He basically represents that side of the story. But he's also, we get to see some pre-war flashbacks through the Ghoul, where he was back to a time when he was a man named Cooper Howard, who was this big popular actor, and he was married to somebody who worked at Vault Tech. Her name was Barb. So he's also after the head, and he and Lucy end up kind of reluctantly traveling together. Like, they do not get along at first. He wants to leave her behind, use her as bait for a gulper. All these kinds of things happen. We also have another faction represented in another storyline, which is the Brotherhood of Steel. And our main character into this is Maximus, played by Aaron Moten, who is a squire. The Brotherhood of Steel is basically this kind of technocratic organization that value really useless tech artifacts from pre-war times. And Maximus is picked as a squire and goes with his knight, who, like, the knights have the big power armor, which looks really cool and you always see in the Fallout games. And they also want the head, surprise. And then the last storyline is Norm, who is Lucy's brother, back in Vault 33, and he's kind of uncovering some of the secrets that the Vault has been hiding and the surrounding vaults throughout the season. So those are the main storylines we follow. They do a pretty good job of juggling all of those. I'm just wondering what you guys, if you had a preferred storyline that you really loved, any particular moments from the season that really caught your attention, anything anyone wants to shout out?
I think the biggest moment for me from the season, or the thing that always sticks out in my head, and this is just, it's such a cheat code with the Fallout universe, but it is that, like, fish out of water Lucy leaving the vault for the first time and really figuring out what society looks like outside of their quote unquote perfect normal life living underground. And like that is, it's the best part about Fallout 3, it's the best part about Fallout 4. It is leaving that vault for the first time and just seeing the expanse, and you get a fun, unique perspective through Lucy's eyes, where she, like, as the player on the video game side, you have, it's more of a, oh my gosh, this whole world, I can explore any inch of it, and what sort of stories will I get into? Whereas with her, you are a passive viewer, and you are like, you know that she is going to have to acclimatize, and you know that all the dangers, or can have some sense, even if you haven't played the game, of the sort of dangers that she will kind of cross paths with, and knowing that like her okie dokie attitude isn't necessarily cut out for survival in the wasteland, but she figures it out, and she finds a way. And I think like that, really early on, that like kind of the door opening moment is just like one of the best moments of the season.
Yeah, I think Ella Pennell does such a good job of like showing that like breakdown of like that naivety and like how kind of battle hardened she becomes towards the end of the season. I mean, like there's still kind of those elements that we see in like the season 2 trailer, like that hasn't completely gone the way the okie dokie kind of like attitude, but I think it's just really impressive what she did throughout the whole season. I think the moment slash storyline that really stood out to me is the stuff with Norm and like finding out like what's behind Vault 31. I just think it's such an interesting idea in terms of like the power structure of this world, in terms of like, I guess it's Bud, right? The little guy that's put himself into a robot. And
Yeah.
he's basically got all these like Vault-Tec executives cryogenically frozen, and he wants to kind of inject those back into society to kind of take it over again after the apocalypse. I just think it's a really cool idea, and like is kind of, you know, like a kind of commentary on like what a real life kind of executive would do in that sort of situation. Obviously in a satirical way, but I think it's just just seeing how that played out. I think was like really just interesting, and I love seeing like a conspiracy like that unfold, and I can't wait to see what they do with that going forward in this season.
There's a couple fun layers with the conspiracy in this show, and the thing that I keep coming back to with this series and the Westworld is both these shows have great twists, and not just one, but like
Yeah.
the twists that have multiple layers to them. And so you have the Norm thing, and then you have the like Cooper Howard figuring out like what the
We'll get to that.
okay, all of that, like all of those kind of machinations kind of chaining together. And then when you get to the end of the series, it's like, oh, like that one moment turned into so many more, and it kind of caused this chain reaction that's like so much fun as a viewer to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like you, Klein, I think Lucy's like Ella Pennell's really my MVP in this show. She has, I think, the strongest character arc in going from that flipping of everything that you think you know into realizing that the world is just not built like that, which is so relevant. And I really like loved seeing her character development. I think she's probably the strongest character in the show. I also kind of really like the Brotherhood of Steel. Like they're just kind of big idiots, which is so fun. Like there's this moment right at the beginning when Maximus is in the power armor and he goes to this town called Philly. He comes in to save everyone, and then like I think the ghoul like sets off one of his like thrusters and he just goes flying out. He's like, oh shit. It's just so funny. Like they're these big guys with these cool armor, but they really are just dumb idiots inside, and they worship toasters and things like that. And I just find them so interesting. But there's also like this great morality behind them, which is just like, you know, we have all these ideals of what a knight should be and this and that, but in reality, we're just in it for ourselves. So I'm like really interested to see where they go with that in season 2, because for the most part, like it was kind of just Maximus on his own representing the Brotherhood in this season, and they kind of come back towards the end. But I just am interested to learn more about them and the different charters that they have. But yeah, let's talk about the ending, because as you teed up, Klein, there are a lot of twists in that final episode that does tie everything together. We learn like the secret behind who dropped the bombs. Like dropping the bombs was like the opening of the series, which I maintain is one of the best openings in the TV show. It's so powerful. But we learn that, you know, in the past, Cooper Howard was overhearing his wife at a board meeting with Vault-Tec, and in order to drive people into the vaults and make them reliant on them, Vault-Tec decided to just drop the bombs themselves. So that was a huge twist. We also learned that Hank, who like Tom said, like was one of these cryogenically frozen people managers, and he's been installed in the vault to oversee them. And then he was also the one who dropped the bomb on Shady Sands, which was a city that had thrived after the bombs dropped. And he did it kind of out of jealousy because his wife, Rose, like left the vault after learning who he really was, went and took the kids, started this new life in Shady Sands, and he just got super mad about that. So just dropped some more bombs. So he's an evil guy. We also learned that Moldaver, the one who had taken Hank, was after this technology called cold fusion, which is basically limitless energy. She is able to activate that at the end of the season, and then I believe the Brotherhood have control of it now. So because they came in after Hank had left. I think there's also like Lucy's revelation in that moment is really powerful. It's sort of her deciding between like her dad is no longer who she thinks he was. What is she going to do about this? Like she kills her mom, who Moldaver has kept alive as a ghoul. That was really heartbreaking. And that, I think, is the moment when you realize she's not that naive vault dweller anymore. Like she has been changed by the wasteland, and like her trajectory in season 2 is going to be so interesting to see how much further down that path she's going to go. And speaking of the path she's going to go down, she's following her dad. And where is Hank going? Viva New Vegas, baby. We're going to New Vegas, which is very, very exciting, which was the setup right at the end of season 1. And now, as we know, season 2 is going to be all about that. But what do we think of the ending of season 1?
Yeah, I thought.
It's
I mean, I thought it
exciting
was.
season 2.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think kind of what Klein was saying. Like, I think they do such a good job of like wrapping up. Well, it's cool that like they coalesce all these storylines that are kind of disparate throughout the season. But the way they kind of like wrap up a lot of these ongoing seeds that they've planted, while also introducing new kind of like exciting like mysteries going forward. I think a lot of shows tend to do this thing where it's like they really drag things on and they're like, okay, we're going to keep you wondering about these different things. But it feels like this show has enough bandwidth where they're like, okay, we're going to reveal a lot of this stuff now because we have so much more to come. I think the thing that really excites me is like the kind of activation of or renewal of Shady Sands through that cold fusion and how that is going to impact the wasteland. Because obviously we're going to New Vegas, but we're going to see, like you said, Lauren, like the Brotherhood of Steel seem like they're going to be overtaking Shady Sands now with this like cold fusion tech. So seeing how that influences the wasteland, how it changes it, or maybe it doesn't change it. Maybe like that invites a whole new other set of problems because of what the wasteland is. I think it's just really clever. It's really exciting going forward.
I think the most like interesting aspect coming out of the finale for me was like, yes, we're going to New Vegas. That is awesome. You have this Lucy revelation, which is so cool. But I think Al Purnell puts on a fantastic performance. I think Walton Goggins puts on a fantastic performance. But Aaron Moten for me is like kind of a secret hidden MVP of the show, because like he is, as Maximus, is pretty like incapable. Like he has his moments, but he is definitely not like suited to lead a regime like the Brotherhood of Steel, which it feels like no one really is. But by the end of the show, where they leave him, where the Brotherhood kind of comes in and kind of has this and correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren, I haven't watched it since it came out, but has this like assumption that he kind of prevailed and is now like, oh, you like that he is now thrust into this position of like, oh, you are now in charge of all of us. And I'm really interested to see what does that mean for him going forward, because he does not have the capability to do this really in any way. And the fact that now he is like, he has no say in the decision. It's just you did this, so you must be in charge. You were the best of us. And he really didn't have anything to do with it. And I think that's just like such a fun place to leave a character like this in, heading into a new like chapter of the story.
That's also what I mean when they talk about like the fallout tone, that idea of like twisting expectations, where it's like he failed upwards basically, which is kind of like that kind of like reflection of the real world. Or like, the cryogenically frozen people being executive assistants who are frozen and then get to like lead the world, basically. It's like it's these assumptions on who gets to have power is so interesting in this show. But you're right, I think Maximus is just kind of like there at the end. And so then they're like, okay, you did this. Now you're a knight. Good job. But yeah, it does leave things in a very interesting place. I feel like I had something else to mention. Oh, Ghoul. Ghoul, we learn, is looking for his family, who we can assume are probably still alive somewhere with the introduction of the cryogenically frozen stuff. So he's going to now, he and Lucy are on the road to go figure that out. So let's talk about season 2. What we know so far from trailers is that obviously New Vegas is going to be a huge focus. We get to see pre and post-war New Vegas, which is interesting. We know that Justin Theroux is joining this season as Mr. House, who is a character from the New Vegas game, which is everyone's excited to see. We also know that some factions will be back, the Kings, Caesar's Legion, those kinds of things. We've had a hint at new creatures, particularly Deathclaws is one that everyone's very excited to see. And that we've also got some new characters coming in the season, like I just teed up Mr. House, but also Macaulay Culkin is joining the season as somebody. Kumail Nanjiani is also joining as somebody. So what do we think based on what we've seen so far? And what are we really excited to see in season 2?
Well, like, it's cool that just like purely like an aesthetic thing, like the death claws being here is like really cool because like season 1 looked great. But it's cool to see like I don't know if they got an increased budget or whatever, but it's cool to see like the Deathclaw here, and like we've only seen very small glimpse of it, but it looks like awesome. It just gets me excited for like the crazy shit they're gonna do with some like a lot of these creatures and characters in the Wasteland this season.
I think for me, like one of the most exciting things heading into this season is for the people like perhaps you, Lauren, who I don't know how much like reading you've done into New Vegas lore, but like the people who don't necessarily know the stories of these games to figure out like why we saw a peek of what New Vegas looks like at the end of season 1. Why it does not look nearly as bombed to shit as the rest of the world. And so exploring that like that why question is like one of the most exciting things for me heading into season 2, as well as like there is a lot of terrible groups of people in the Fallout world, but Fallout New Vegas just has a high concentration of very interesting different groups. And so seeing those like groups and their relationships, especially this far after the events of Fallout game, like who is still around? Are they still warring? What does it mean for like the greater world overall? And I think that is a very exciting thing for me as somebody who I haven't finished Fallout New Vegas. I have some experience in it, but not a ton. But like who even has that baseline knowledge to see how people react who have no idea and have like really no clue of why does New Vegas look like this? Who is in charge here? Why are these people doing this? And that's really, really exciting to me.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely that person who's going in with like, I have some idea of New Vegas based on things I've had to do for work. Like I know who the Kings are, I know who Caesar's Legion are, but a very baseline understanding. And I'm excited for what they're going to reveal in the show in the similar way that they did reveals in season 1. I think that we know also like a big question coming in is like Fallout games famously have multiple endings. People are like, oh, you're going back to a known location. Like, how are you going to handle that? And now we know it through press interviews that like the creators have said, we're kind of handling it by not handling it, which is basically like the fog of war has kind of blurred everyone's memories on who won this, like the game, basically. Like, you know, this faction probably think they won because like, you know, victory is in the eye of the beholder. And I think that's a really smart approach. Like, I'm kind of glad. And I saw a really great interview with Geneva Robertson Dworak, but she was like, we just are doing it because we don't want to invalidate any player's experience of the game. We want them to have their experience, to have that be like their ending, be the true ending to them. And then you can still watch this show and not feel like you've been done a disservice with the way their story is going. So I think that's really cool and really smart way to go. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
It makes total sense. Like because of how different the game's endings are, they had to do something, and that's a very smart way to do it. I could see it coming off as like wishy-washy, but I have full confidence in this writing team that it won't feel that way. Like I have a feeling that even them in the interviews talking about it, I have a feeling they are still going to address it, but it will be done in a unique way. It's not just like they're going to go, oh, we just don't mention it, and here's our explanation for why. I think that they are going to address it, but they're going to play on it in a way that only this creative team knows how.
Yeah, I think it's smart. I mean, like I'm sure there's going to be like hints towards it, like you say, Klein. I wonder. I mean, because I haven't played New Vegas, so I don't know specifically what happens in those endings. But I wonder, like, yeah, whether it is kind of like a hint towards one ending, or like a hint towards like all of these endings basically being possible in that kind of like, you know, the history is kind of foggy in this wasteland now because like who is keeping track of everything. So I wonder like if that's kind of, yeah, similar to what you're saying, Lauren, like certain people taking away certain things of like they thought they won, they other factions thinking they won. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they handle it.
Feels like a very Fallout way to handle it, which I
Yeah.
think is clever.
Mhm.
All right, just lastly before we wrap up, I just wanted to know if you guys had any theories or major hopes. Firstly, Klein and I do have screeners for the show. I just want to check, Klein, if you've watched yours yet.
I have.
Okay, so we'll hear no theories from you. I have held off until we've done this episode. But Tom, anything that you want to bring up?
Theories. I mean, I think we're probably gonna see the downfall of Maximus. Like you guys were saying, like they've kind of built him up as this guy who doesn't know what he's doing, and we've seen him kind of like, this is what he's like really wanted. Like in the first episode of the show, he like screws up is Dane, right? His friend, who was
Mhm.
gonna become a become a knight, and then because he injures them, like it becomes Maximus who gets put forward. So it's like he's hungry for like power, but clearly like inept to do it. And I think like we're gonna see the fallout of that in that like he's gonna basically be found
You said
out
it.
and I said the thing. He's gonna be found out and essentially been like shown for who he actually is. And it'll be interesting to see how the Brotherhood kind of takes that because, like you were saying, Lauren, the Brotherhood itself is kind of incompetent in many ways. So, like, can they really deal with like someone being put on this like Messiah kind of pedestal and then being brought down like that? I don't really know, but I think that's probably where it's going to lead, and then that's how we get Maximus back with like Lucy and the Ghouls storyline going
Mm.
forward. So that's my kind of big like hope slash prediction.
Yeah, we all know I love a theory. And I have a few going into this. One of them I can't actually take credit for. It was all Jack McBrien's thinking over on the direct, but I did write about it. And it is that we will see like the clashing between like a civil war with the Brotherhood, which they kind of do tee up in the trailers that there is a civil war coming between the like Eastern and Western charters or chapters. But that this might essentially bring in this big giant battle robot called Liberty Prime from the games, which is kind of like a Pacific Rim style. What do you call those things?
A Gundam? A mech?
I guess so. Yeah, like a mech.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Which I'm like, I didn't know that existed, but when he said it and when I started researching it, I was like, yeah, this does seem like a way that they might go. Like this seems like a really cool way to like end like a season 2 with a giant robot fight potentially. So I think that could be a cool thing to see. I also know that we're going to see a lot of Ghoul and Lucy on the road together this season, and they had like quite a tumultuous relationship in season 1. So I'm really interested to see how that goes in season 2. And I don't know, there's these weird like shippers of them out there, and I'm sort of like, I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think potentially they could form a bond that's like very very reliant on one another, and potentially this could test the Ghoul later on when it comes to his family. Like I'm not sure if like
Oh yeah.
because we don't really know how things ended with him and Barb, like his wife. Like after him hearing that she's responsible for dropping the bombs, we never saw the fallout of that. So I think that's going to be really interesting. Like he's obviously still looking for them, but we don't know why. So I just wonder whether like Lucy could potentially become someone who's even more important to him than maybe his own family. So that's another thing. And then the other thing, which we've seen in trailers, is just that we're going to see Cooper Howard wear the power armor, which is really cool. So which means we're probably getting flashbacks to Alaska, the war in Alaska, I think he was a part of. So that could be cool. I'm just interested to see some flashbacks with the power armor, like with the war, because it seems like they'll pick up the like the flashback storyline maybe after that announcement that Cooper finds out about the bombs. So really exciting times coming up in Fallout. But if we
Klein,
have nothing else to add,
No
Klein can
comment.
say nothing.
Klein can't say anything, so he's bound to.
But yeah, if we don't have any other lingering thoughts on Fallout, we will be covering it here on this podcast. We'll probably do like a bit of a bulk review because the episodes are releasing over the holidays, so we'll take a break and probably come back and do like a chunk of a review and then maybe do them bi-weekly. So we're still figuring that out, but you can definitely hear all our thoughts here over the next couple months.
When does it start? When's episode 1 drop?
December 17 on Prime Video.
Excellent. Not
Now
let's get into what we've been. No, we're not sponsored, but we're open. Amazon,
Come on,
get at us. Let's get into what we've been playing. We can get out of here. Tom, you have some very exciting gaming news. You finished Ghost of Yotei.
I have indeed. After 55 hours, I finally finished the story. There's still plenty on the map that I have to get, and I definitely will go back and platinum it at some point. But right now, I just wanted to go do the main storyline just so I could get through it. And it's really good. I think the twists they do with some of the Yotei 6 plot lines, I really enjoyed, and seeing how all that played out was really cool. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil any of that, so people can enjoy it for themselves. But I think it builds in a really cool way. The weapons that you eventually get, once Atsu is fully decked out, with the various weapons, it's so it's just so fun.
It feels like the end of a Metroid game where you feel invincible because you have just
really does.
everything in your arsenal.
Yeah, because you summon the wolf going, you got the different swords that you have and stances, and it's just oh, it's so cool. But yeah, I definitely think, because I think I gave it a preliminary 4 out of 5 rating. I think I'm probably going to stick at that at the moment, based on what I've experienced with the game. I just think it's a solid time, a worthy follow up to Tsushima, and I'm glad I played it, and I can't wait to eventually see the very, very end of it when I do all the various stuff on the map and hunt down all the other guys on the map and that sort of thing. So yeah, fun time.
Lauren, have you been playing anything?
Still alternating between my 3 games. I have been chipping away at Yotei. I have killed another of the Yotei 6. I think that I'm up to 2 now, so I'm still not very far. But it is kind of shocking to me just how big it is. It just keeps going. Every time you enter a new area to go after someone, you're like, wait, I get to go up there? It's just there's so much happening. I'm just taking it in small doses because I know it's going to be like a marathon, not a sprint. But probably will be my Christmas game because I'm still loving it, and I'm really becoming invested in Atsu. I know that was one of my concerns when we did review it, that I was like, I don't know, I haven't really cracked her, I haven't really figured her out, but I am coming around to her. But yeah, otherwise still chipping away at Hades too as well. I think I maybe mentioned this, but I have just hit a wall where I'm I literally have no idea how to beat this boss. I'm in the Reddit threads trying to figure it out. It's just so hard. But I have beat Kronos 3 times now, so that's good.
Yeah, once you get him once you figure out how to do Kronos, it's just about getting the right build when you get there, and then you're fine.
Yeah, it's just still such a good game. No matter what you do, you never get tired of it. Yeah.
And anyway. They keep giving you more things to every time I come back to the Crossroads. I'm like, how many dozens of hours in this game, and you're gonna just drop this in front of me?
Exactly.
This whole new thing? What?
Yeah. And oh my god, there's more prophecies every time I come back. I'm like, how many more things do you need me to do? But yeah, that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes us keep doing runs.
It's the thing it reminds me most of, and this is going to be a weird comparison, but is Metal Gear Solid 5, where you're 35, 40 hours in that game, and you're like, wait, what? You're going to throw this whole new mechanic at me, and now every run I go out, I've got these things to check off, and it is just it's scratching an itch that I haven't had scratched since Metal Gear Solid 5, which is awesome. For me, I want to shout out a little game that came out this week, Skate Story. been waiting for this for a very long time. Very excited by solo developer Sam Eng. I mean this in the most complimentary way possible. It is maybe the most Devolver-ass Devolver game I have ever played. It is up right now on PlayStation Plus if you have, I think it's the second tier. And it is essentially a new skateboarding game set to incredible electronic music. You play this glass skateboarder skating through the 7 layers of hell and
Nice.
eating moons. And it is weird. And you talk to weird, speaking like Roman sculptures and statues. And the skateboard, I've never played a game quite like this. Like, I play a lot of skateboarding games because we don't get as many as I would like. And so when one comes, it's a very exciting is a very exciting moment. But I've never played one quite like this. I'm most used to like the Tony Hawk. I'm gonna press a button and I'm gonna do a trick. And so like you press X, you do an ollie, so on and so on. Or skate, where you're using a stick and the motions of the stick reflect your feet, and so you're doing tricks that way. This is really different, where you are like holding down a trigger or a bumper, so R1, R2, L1, L2, and then pressing a button. But when you hold down the bumper, a shape comes up on screen and a little marker spins around the shape, and there is a piece of each shape that is lit up, and if you can release it, it's like the active reload in Gears of War. If you can release it at that specific moment, you do the best possible version of that trick. Like, you jump higher, you get slightly more points. And so it's really interesting. It's not just like, oh, I need to do this trick now. You're constantly thinking, when I see a ramp coming up or I see a feature that I want to hit coming up, how do I time this trick so that I can press the right bumper or trigger and then the button and get it to hit that like sweet spot on the mark? I'm not sure. I'm still relatively early in the game. I'm only a few hours in, and I'm not sure I actually like it or not, but it is very interesting and unique. I've never seen a game quite do this with this kind of skateboarding mechanic. You are doing, it's kind of a lot of linear platforming levels where you are kind of going down a tunnel and there's things coming at you and you are jumping over various obstacles. And then you get to these like boss fights, which I haven't played a skateboarding game with a boss fight in it, where you are doing tricks to deal damage to a boss. And it's basically
Cool.
like, hey, here's an open skate park, like a 2-minute run in Tony Hawk. You need to defeat this boss in 2 minutes. And I like it a lot. I actually am very much enjoying my time with the game just because the vibes are crazy. Like, it is, you're this reflective glass skater, and the music is, I can't wait for it to come to Spotify. I actually haven't looked if it's there, but the music is just going to live with me for years to come because it is so, it's just like so unique. I haven't really ever heard music quite like this. And so it's Skate Story. You can try it right now for free if you have PlayStation Plus. It's from Devolver, and it is just, it's unlike anything you will play this year. I think that is like, you might hate it, you might absolutely love it, but you will never play something like Skate Story again.
The visuals of it just like are so insane. Like, look at the main character reminds me of like the alien at the end of Annihilation.
Oh yeah.
Spoilers for
Oh
the
yeah.
game, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this weird, trippy looking kind of reflective character. Apparently it's on Nintendo Switch, so I wonder how that like runs or looks on Switch 2.
I
Or
think it
Switch
would
2,
run
sorry.
okay.
So,
Like, it doesn't seem
yeah.
like it's the most demanding game when I'm playing it. Like, it looks
So-
good, but it's going for an art style as opposed to like something super
Yeah.
realistic. So I don't think graphically it would chug in any way because of the way it looks.
Yeah, so I'd be interested to try it on Switch 2 potentially, like because it does seem like that kind of okay, pick up, do like a skateboarding level, then put it down. So yeah, might check it out.
They do something really good in this game with speed, where I, playing a lot of skateboarding games, you're just like, oh, I'm going quite fast. This, you really feel it. The way the camera, like, I don't know if it's the specific way they're using motion blur around you and the way the camera is set on you, it's kind of a little lower. It's kind of like somebody's filming you from right behind you. But when you
Mm.
really pick up speed in this game, you really feel it. You feel that momentum, and you can really feel like, oh, this next thing is coming up, so I've got to push even harder to get off this jump and gap the, like, I don't know, hazard that they have laid out for you. It's just, as I said, it is incredibly unique, and I am really looking forward to see what this Sam Eng does next, because this is just, as I said, I don't know if I love it or hate it, but like I'm enjoying experiencing it, if that makes any sense at all. Like I'm enjoying figuring that out. If anything. That's all we've been playing, and that's going to basically do it for this episode of Controller Club. Before we go, though, Tom, Drew, do we have some comments? I saw some people had some reactions to our FNAF review. The comment section in that video were blowing up.
Yeah, and I'll pass this over to Lauren because I think we had like quite a lot on TikTok as well. But I'll shout out one that we got on our YouTube review from @Arcane Smash, who says saw it last night and it was right. So I'm glad Arcane Smash enjoyed it at least. But Lauren, do you want to read out some of these ones from TikTok?
Yeah, we just had a few on our TikTok reel, which I think we may as well talk about. So from number one Pophead, they said, I had kids screaming every time Toy Chica was on screen. Not enjoyable, but the movie is good. I regret this 353 said, was the storyline done particularly well? No. Was it incredibly enjoyable, and did I love the practical effects and little Easter eggs throughout? 100%. I personally loved it, even though it wasn't written well. Fair enough. The MIAA said it was an amazing movie, and then someone else responded saying, I agree, it was mostly introduction for non-fans to the questions that the actual fans are trying to figure out. That's why they think the movie didn't make sense. Okie dokie, sounds good. And then Invincible Redemption said, this is my opinion, the movie is supposed to just be for the fans. The whole story doesn't make sense for people who haven't watched it. I don't know, Tom, what do you think?
I mean, look, if the fans like it, sure. I guess it's who it's made for. But you know, like we said on the review last episode, we're probably gonna end up seeing the third one anyway. Like it's probably gonna happen. So at the very least, if FNAF fans are enjoying it, like I guess that's the main thing that matters, I suppose.
Yeah, that's who it's for. And yes, we are mere mortals. We do not pretend to know the intricacies of the FNAF lore. We're just experiencing it like everyone else through the movies.
Yeah.
I was watching those comments and just kind of laughing to myself a little bit. So, they're calling you guys out.
That's what happens.
The FNAF fans are nothing if not persistent. This week, our Comic Corner question of the week is, what was your favorite moment from the Game Awards? You can let us know here on this YouTube video or on Spotify, podcast services around the globe. Also, follow the show while you're at it. We are at Controller Club Pod on Instagram and Blue Sky, at Controller_Club on Twitter, and at Controller.club on TikTok. If you want to send us an email, you totally can do that. It's controllerclubpod@gmail.com. And wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, interact in any way possible. Leave us 5 stars over on Spotify, comment here on the YouTube, like, ring the bell. It helps us out. As I said, next week is a very big week for us. It is our Game of the Year episode, one of my favorite episodes that we do each and every year. It's this one, and the one we do immediately after that, our predictions for the following year. But we will be doing Game of the Year next year, handing out all sorts of hardware. So make sure you come back, hang out with us, see what we think was the best game of the year. Did the Game Awards get it right? Was it Claire Obscure, or was it, I don't know, somehow the FNAF 2 movie? Tom, Drew, where can people keep up with you, and what do you have going on?
Yeah, you can follow me at Tom Drew Art, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter. The only thing I need to promote is that the Supergirl trailer came out this past week, so I did a little bit of fan art for that. So if you like the Supergirl trailer, excited for that movie, check it out, Tom Drew Art.
Lauren, what about you? Do you have anything exciting coming up in the content world, and where can people find it?
You can follow me at lrouse19 on the socials. Rouse spelled as in house. I don't know what I'll have coming up. I assume some Fallout things this week. I do have actually a social video that I'm going to repost from my Fallout Season 1 junket. So keep an eye out for that, because there was a little moment I never got to share back then that I'm going to revamp and put on my socials.
Excellent. And you can keep up with me everywhere. I'm at The Kleinfelt, TheKleinFelt. That's going to do it for this episode of Controller Club. As always, thank you so much for watching or listening. Now, let's get gaming.